Hi there, this is Ron Rogers, and this video is titled Pilot, Flight Attendant, Covert Communications. Now, I'll explain various aspects of that, and I'm not going to cover necessarily all of them, because some of them are security issues, but I'm going to kind of address some prominent issues you may not be fully aware of that I think are kind of almost bordering on humorous. But first of all, hey, I'd like to thank my new members. This is taking off pretty well. I'm actually quite surprised. And my most recent members are Mike, Travis, Nick, Jeremiah, George, and Ellen. I'd like to shout out to you guys. Thank you for joining very much. And you've seen my members only post. There's a thing we can do on YouTube, and YouTube actually even suggests this. It's kind of cool. The members only posts are not monetized. There's no commercials. The deal with commercials is you can't tick off anybody who might, want to advertise, on your video. So you got to be careful, of what you say. But the other ones, they say you can actually be rather avant-garde. He said you can even use naughty words. Yes, naughty words. You can even use naughty words. So those are the members only. And what I'm setting up there, getting ready to put together, is also Hangar Talk, which will be a live group kind of discussion, kind of like sitting around the hangar. I know I can't invite, well, I could, but you won't come because you all live far away, a lot of you, especially the people in England and stuff. Hi there. I love the Queen. But anyway, well, the old one. Let me just put it that way. Okay. Anyway, okay, where was I? Oh, yes. So what this is kind of a live chat, and it's going to be over either Zoom or some other structure. I have to put that together. And the other thing, hey, still got bling for sale down there. It's down at the bottom there. You can see it, and got these lovely shirts so we can all identify each other at Oshkosh and stuff like that. But okay, here is the thing about pilot, flight attendant, covert communications. Now, whenever I get on board the aircraft, I'm retired now, been retired for 10 years, but even before that, whenever I'd get on the aircraft, I'd identify myself to the crew and the flight attendants and that, because I'm 6'1", 210. I can be helpful in emergencies. I can help with various things, up to and not including passenger issues and stuff like that if they need, so they don't have to get somebody out of the flight deck. I've been a captain for 25 years and airline pilot for 37, so I know my way around. So anyway, I offer to be helpful. Now, the thing is, I am not always in uniform. Now, okay, I do not sit in the seat with my hat on. This was a special picture, as kind of a joke for a friend. About the joys of commuting to work. I don't wear the hat in the seat, of course. The other one is I'm incognito, and that can have interesting advantages that I'm going to talk on a video that I think I'm going to show tomorrow about what can happen if you're not in uniform and stuff. Anyway, okay, covert communications. Well, let me tell you one little incident here that's kind of funny. Now, I'm deadheading. I'm trying to get back, actually going to work. I've been out visiting in Denver and that, and I'm flying. I flew a DC-10. We actually had a DC-10 that went from Denver to Omaha and then Chicago. So, okay, I fly to Omaha. Everything's fine, people on, people off, getting ready to go to Chicago. This is great. I'm going to work. Okay, wonderful. Well, we take off, and all of a sudden there is a lot of vibration. And the flight attendant looks over to me, and it was actually a he. I didn't find a good picture of a he sitting in the jump seat, so you have to forgive it. This is well, we're not going to diverge anywhere here. Okay, so it was a he, but he looks over at me, and with a vibration, he gives me a kind of inquisitive look and a thumbs up, and I go, no, I go thumbs down. Like that. Okay, well, we go on for a little bit. What had happened was the number 3 engine, the turbine section, had let loose, and it was shaking the airplane pretty well. That was one of my complaints. A little digression here. See the shirt. One of my complaints is in training is every engine failure that I've had, except for one actually at United, has been shaking of the aircraft because something let loose in the turbine section. There was only one that was quiet. Now I'm going to talk about that in another episode because the mechanics were very disparaging to the flight engineer, and they actually came back and apologized. So that's another story I'm going to tell, but it's a fun one on the DC-10 and an engine failure. Okay, so this thing is shaking, and of course, the turbine section let go, and what do? You got severe engine damage, you shut the engine down. That's what you do. Okay, so it shuts, and then the vibration goes away. And he looks at me, smiles, and he goes, thumbs up like that, and I go, no. And he looks a little more concerned, and I give him we're going back. We're going back. And he goes, okay. And then he goes, okay, kind of like a concerned okay. And I go, yeah, it's okay. We'll be fine. So we come around back, and that's the kind of covert sort of communication there. And we come back and we land. And then we taxi into the ramp there. Now, this is the unfortunate thing. We've got like 345 people on this airplane. It's imagine, we got, it was a full load. I mean, and all of a sudden, this airplane's toast. I mean, the engine's gone. It's going to be an engine change. Omaha didn't have a bunch of DC-10 engines sitting around, so this airplane's done. And it was the only big airplane service, wide body, through Omaha. Everything else was 37s and 27s. So it's like, oh my God. Well, 300 people in line at the ticket counter to try to get to go to Chicago. I barely made it into my trip. Finally catching up, getting in there, I made it to my trip, but I finally made it. So that's a slight digression there. But this is some of the joys of commuting as an airline pilot. Now, some people have asked, okay, if you have an engine problem, is that scary? Now, let me make a comment here that this airplane, about, this is the Denver flight to Honolulu that had, it lost the shroud, made the evening news. A lot of people had nice video, stuff like that. And I saw the nose number on this aircraft, and I go, God, that really looks familiar. Well, it was. A few years earlier, I had flown that same airplane as my last flight out of Maui coming home to Chicago. That was my very last flight. I flew it. Of course, the engine was much more, it treated me nicer. It didn't come apart, so I was very happy, actually. The cowling and all that stuff didn't come apart. But people ask me, are you ever scared when you have an emergency? And frankly, the answer is no. First of all, I've had a lot of them, but we train so thoroughly as airline pilots, depending on, what's going on. Sometimes it had been 6 months, 9 months, year and a half. They go through the different ideas of how often we need to do training and stuff like that. But basically, we go through this stuff again and again and again. And I have flown, especially now, that once I got, very senior, with 30 years of flying, simulator check rides and stuff like that. You got so used to it. You'd done so many engine failures on takeoff and stuff like that. It was just a non-event. If you get one, and I said I've had several, if you get one, you just run through the checklist. And one other thing that I should point out, okay, you don't scare me. I was taught by nuns. If you're taught by nuns, you don't fear anything. I mean, you got Sister Mary of Occasional Mercy, and if you survive her, you're not upset about anything. But okay, here we go. We got the issue with the engine. Well, what do? Well, you get into the checklist, and you got a lot of procedures, and you go through step. Of course, it's now electronic, which is easier. I mean, these electronic checklists are cool because on the 27, we jokingly said you could get lost in the checklist because you'd have one checklist that would refer to another checklist. And like this one here, it says, 2 or 1 engine approach and landing checklist, 2 or 1 engine generator operation. You'd go to another checklist, and we used to have these little, as an engineer, you'd have these little markers. You go to this checklist, and then you have to come back. And, with the electronic checklist now, it's really cool because when you do something, it turns green. It goes to the next step. And then all the checklists are integrated. So if you have to do another checklist that's, outside of the engine failure or severe damage, it takes you there and it goes through the steps. And this is all prioritized. It's really cool. The electronic checklist and the interactive type of checklist that it knows when you punch a switch or it knows when you do an action. that is absolutely cool. The new people coming on pilots now don't know how lucky they have it. But there's one aspect of this training that I must tell you about. And that is after you spend 3 days out in there and you do takeoff after takeoff after takeoff, and you have aborts and you have engine failures and you have this, the first time that you come back and fly a line trip and you do a takeoff and everything works, it's almost scary. It's like, what the happened there? Nothing happened. Yeah, after that training, you expect every takeoff, you think something's going to go wrong. And of course, the airplanes are very reliable. And, people have flown a whole career and never lost an engine, So, and especially now, the engines are getting much more reliable. But anyway, that's a little bit about covert communication. Now, as you can suspect, there are other methods of talking between the flight attendants and the cockpit crew when you have a security issue, but that's a little more sensitive, and unfortunately, we're not going to discuss that because it is sensitive. But hey, thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting, informative, and enjoyable, and I'm sure non-fattening. Thanks for watching.